Hi, my name is Dr. Richard Gómez, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the relationship between dual language education and contrastive analysis in the elementary grades. Contrastive analysis is the study of what things are common between two languages that are being learned and what things are different between the two that might cause interference between one and the other. Contrastive analysis have been pursued for some time now, and the findings, however, have proven or have shown that kids learn a second language differently. There's no real set pattern. Some have more interference than others, and some it helps them acquire the second from things that are common from the first more than others. So even though it hasn't been anything that's shown to be significant as far as in research that it's a set pattern, nevertheless, we do see relationships between first and second languages that are being learned. Of course, there's also differences between which two languages are being learned, from English to Spanish, for example, or from English to Vietnamese or Chinese or other languages. We do know that in languages that are very similar to each other, for example, English and Spanish are very similar linguistically to each other. We do know they share the same consonant sounds, for example. We do know they have a lot of the same cognates for key words in the different content areas, math, science, social studies, and in general reading and writing. And so we do have that as a potential bridge or assist, if you will, for kids learning from English to Spanish or from Spanish to English, that they share so much common with each other. On the other hand, there's also opportunities for interference between the first and second language. For example, in Spanish, we always put the E in front of words that begin with S in the initial position. So we'll say like a student or a school is what you might hear an ELL student say who's Spanish dominant trying to learn English, where he's trying to put the E in front of the S in the initial position, like escuela or estudiante. And so there are opportunities of that interference that we need to be aware of and look for those patterns, and then we can address those patterns. But the best advice that we have found in dual language is that if we just learn, especially with two languages similar as English and Spanish, if we just work through the language, their first language, and then look for opportunities to transfer to the second language via writing opportunities in both languages, via reading opportunities in both languages, that a lot of these situations will take care of themselves. In other words, the students will begin to apply the first language correctly and differently for the second language, where it would be correct for the second language, if they have a lot of opportunities to do so. Then once they've been trying to learn the second language for a couple of years, then that's when we suggest that the teacher would begin to hone in on the patterns that have still not been resolved by themselves, and then we start addressing those patterns with the children. But what we're going to find is the majority of the interference or the similarities between the two languages will take care of themselves. So for example, in English, we say the adjective first and then the noun, like the red ball. In Spanish, it's reverse the syntax. We'll say el balón rojo. However, you're going to find your kids, by having opportunities to read and write and speak a lot in the classroom in both languages, you're going to see them apply the syntax correctly, whether they're speaking in English or they're working or speaking in Spanish. They'll be applying it correctly. Same thing for things like how do you form the plurals and whatnot. So what we do is our suggestion is put them in opportunities to read and write in both languages, and then after a year or two, when most of these things have been settled, now you start looking for patterns to address those that did not happen naturally as they acquired from the first to the second.